Welcome back. In this video, we are going to understand one of the most important concepts in Hive, managed versus external tables. If you're preparing for interviews or working on real data engineering pipelines, this is the topic you must be very clear about. So let's get right into it. What is a managed table? In Hive, a managed table means Hive owns the data. Hive completely manages both the data and the metadata. Hive has a complete ownership over the table lifecycle. Also, whenever we drop a table in managed table, data is also permanently deleted. There is no separate cleanup required for data files. Whenever you create a managed table, the HDFS location is automatically created under user Hive warehouse directory. User Hive warehouse is a directory that is completely managed by Hive. Let's go to the next part, that is external tables. External tables are complete opposite. So the data is stored outside the Hive warehouse directory. So it might be stored at any other location in HDFS. Whenever we drop the table in external tables, it only drops the metadata, but not the actual data files are deleted. So it has a save drop operation because it does not delete the data files, it only deletes the table. Now let's see with some hands-on example how this managed tables and external tables are created. So I'll be creating a table called employee managed in a database called training demo. I have created 3 columns under it: ID, name and salary. So let me create this table. So the table has been created. You can see the table over here under tables. It is not refreshed. Let me refresh. After refreshing, you can see the employee managed table is created. Under this, you can also see the columns that we have given. But now we have only created the skeleton for this. So whenever we run this query, select star from employee managed table, you see there is no data present because we have only created the table. But in managed table, whenever you create a table, a HDFS location is automatically created. Now let's see how this HDFS location looks like. Let's go to terminal. I'm entering through the Docker in our HDFS path. Now let me check under this training demo database. Under the user Hive warehouse directory, now you can see the employee managed table has been created. Now let's look under this directory if there is something present over here. There is nothing present because we have not created or inserted some data inside this employee managed table. Now let's insert some data into it. To insert the data, you can simply write insert into table, or you can also load some of the data from your local path. For now, let's insert into this table using the insert query. Insert into table is successful. Now let's run the select star query. You can see now the data is completely present over here. But let's see if this data is present in our Hive user directory. I'll run the same command again. Yeah, now the data is present over here. You can see a file getting created over here. You can also see the contents of this file. I need to do cat operation for this. The same data which we have inserted through the insert query is now present at this HDFS path under user Hive warehouse directory. Let's see some descriptions for this table and its properties. If you see, if I do describe formatted for this table, you can see the database name, but we are interested mostly in the table type. So table type over here is managed table. And also you can see the other parameters, those are present over here. So now let's see the very important concept that we want to do, that is the drop table. If I drop a table, that is if I drop a managed table, the data and the metadata are also deleted. Let's see it through live example. I get a pop-up if I want to really delete the table. Yeah, drop table is completed. Now if I want to check the if metadata is deleted, I will only do describe formatted. Yeah, so this gives me an exception because the metadata is deleted, it does not show us anything. So the metadata is deleted. But let's see if data is also deleted. Let me run the same query again. No such file or directory. So for the managed table, when I delete the table or drop the table, the metadata along with the data is deleted. Now let's try to create an external table. For creating an external table, you just have to write an external keyword over here. So I'll be creating employee external table with same columns, that is ID, name, salary. Also the second important thing is you have to specify the location from which the data would be loaded into this table. I would say not loaded, but this table would point to this location. Let's first see what is present at this location. I'll go back to my terminal. I will paste this query. If you see under this location, I have already a file employee CSV. Now I will see what is present in this file. Okay, so this employee CSV file contains 3 rows with same data that we had already entered in managed table. I've created this same data in this employee file. If you look at the location, this is a different location. It is not the user hive warehouse directory. Let me create this table. External table is created. Now when I run the select star for this external table, it already gives me data. Because it is already giving me data, it is showing me the data present over here. So this table which is created over here is just pointing to this location and applying the schema while reading the table. So here we can know the concept, that is schema on read. Let's check the properties for this table. I will do describe formatted. If you see over here, the table type is now external table. Let's see the drop behavior for this table. Now I'll be dropping this table. Same pop-up, yeah, I've dropped the table. Now let's see if metadata has been deleted. I'll do describe formatted. Yes, the metadata has been deleted. That's what external tables do. But external table does not delete the actual data that was present at this path. Let's check that. Yeah, the data has not been deleted. So external table only deletes the metadata and it does not delete the actual data. Some interview points, like when we have to use the external tables and when we have to use the managed table. So external tables are useful whenever there are shared data sets. So for example, there is some data present at some location and some two different teams are using it. They both can create some external tables for themselves and they can point to the same location. The second thing is data remains intact even if the table is dropped. External tables are useful whenever these are used with external applications. External tables can emphasize data safety and sharing capabilities. Let's look at managed table. Managed tables are perfect only whenever we want to do some temporary thing or staging data. In managed table, automatic cleanup is done because the data gets deleted from the user Hive warehouse directory. So the management is also simplified over here. So we have to choose the right table based on your data management needs. Alright, thank you. Let's meet in the next video with some more videos.